Thank you.
Next speaker, Joseph H.
Good afternoon. I'm here in my capacity as president of Glen Cove Community Association and as a resident of Vallejo who lives near Glen Cove Elementary. I'd like to advocate for higher visibility of crosswalks near Glen Cove Elementary School. There's been a marked increase in traffic on the main artery of Glen Cove, which passes right in front of the school. The downhill road sharply turns just as one approaches the school entrance across the street from the intersection of North Regatta. Because of the line of sight and downhill momentum, there are unfortunately a large number of vehicles that speed on this road and may not understand what causes the traffic backing up when it's time to dismiss students, especially in the afternoon. Anything we can do with lighted warnings and crosswalk enhancements to provide more warning of what's around the corner and the vulnerability of the pedestrians, which includes elementary students, can only help to avoid serious incidents from occurring. Some of the reasons why there are exponentially more vehicles traversing Glen Cove Parkway are the consolidation of Beverly Hills school students that now attend Glen Cove Elementary, several businesses now situated in the Glen Cove Landing commercial buildings, which includes North Bay Pediatrics and other medical offices. The shift changes for staff at the Glen Cove Lodge, not to mention all the visitors to the senior memory living facility. Glen Cove Marina itself yields a lot of traffic due to the residents and boat owners, not to mention the Lighthouse meeting space, Marina Club members, and marina visitors such as Solana Rowing Club, which I'm personally a part of. The pickleball courts at Glen Cove Park are also very popular. Due to regulations that began during COVID that are still in place, there have also been some dismissal protocols that have caused traffic to back up onto Glen Cove Parkway on the bend as one goes down the hill, and which has likely caused the accidents on Glen Cove Parkway that could be mitigated. Fortunately, no one's been killed, but cars speeding down the parkway have now run into and destroyed a fire hydrant right outside of the gates of Glen Cove Elementary at least 5 times that we're aware of. Other schools have staggered dismissal policies that help in mitigating the traffic and allowing for teachers and staff to be curbside with the students during pickup. We're confident that there are ways that the school can implement better policies to avoid vehicles of parents standing in no parking areas, such as in front of the bus stop, along Glen Cove Parkway and North Regatta Drive. Both of those roads are no parking streets. The Glen Cove Community Association actually has a bond assessment fund, which currently has about $1.5 million. And we're looking for capital projects on which to use this. Now, assuming we'd get permission, we'd be very interested in funding the enhancements if that's something that we could do. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then just lastly, enhanced lighting of the crosswalks would make the roads and heightened risk of the congested area during that time far safer. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, Ralph M.
Sorry for the formatting.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. In my capacity as Vice President of Glen Cove Community Association, and also I was given the title of Director of Safety. So I've been working quite a bit with both fire and police in Glen Cove. But the one issue that we've really had that doesn't seem to go away is the amount of people who run the stop signs and the red lights. I know it's difficult because there is no enforcement, but I think there's a couple things we can do to help at least slow people down. My past career, I worked for Chevron. I was a global process advisor, and one of those jobs I had was a facilities manager for many of our complexes. So we had to do a lot of work with the cities and traffic. There is a sign that it possibly would be of good use. It's a flashing red stop sign that's lighted by LEDs, solar powered, and it's even available on Amazon, $700. We would, install 4 of those at South Regatta and enhance the crosswalks, diagonal crosswalks, because if in the pictures you'll see right now the lines are very blurred. There's practically no visibility of the. Sorry, Mr. Malone. So enhanced visibility on the crosswalks. And one of the state law yield signs, as we have out here in front of the building, 2 of those on South Regatta. Installing 2-inch speed bots, both sides of the intersections, coming back at least 20 feet, would be another way to at least to start slowing people down a little bit. And more enhanced, and probably another flashing yield sign further up the hill on Glen Cove Parkway. And as Joseph said, Glen Cove Association working with the city, we do have the money as a capital project improvement. So we'd be willing to help work this. So any pictures, my number's on there, any questions? Be sure to, just give me a call and we can discuss further. Thank you.
Yes. John Fox, Trustee Fox.
The area in question is the area that I was elected in, and I also, it's Councilwoman Mina Diaz's area as well. And I just want to share, going to work this morning at 6:30, coming down Glen Cove, I stopped at the light in front of the school. Someone behind me went in the left lane to pass both of us that were stopped at the light and then sped ahead of us through the red light. Each day coming home or leaving, people run the stop sign and they run the red light. It's like they're not there. So for any member of the community, but especially for our children, especially at the school, I'm always worried about, and I've seen the fire hydrant down many times, and with wildfires, that's always stressful as well. So it's a daily concern. It's been for years, and with all the new businesses, there's a lot more traffic. So as a resident that lives there and drives that every day, I see this firsthand, and I too would like to voice a concern that this is leading to someone's going to get fatally hurt, and hopefully not a child. The other thing I wanted to say is, after the sign for the park, if you're going past the school, all of a sudden people are parking on the street where they're not supposed to park. I think someone switched the sign that says no parking to the wrong direction. So now people are parking on the street and people barely can get through on the road. So there's just a number of parking and safety issues on Glen Cove Parkway. Anyways, thank you very much. I just wanted to say what I see daily driving in. Thank you.
No other speakers?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, no other speakers are present.
Okay. Matula.
Thank you, President Gardner. So I started my career as an ASP over at Glen Cove Elementary School back in 2014, and even back then there were some traffic issues. Just because at the dismissal and arrival, which is the natural progression of when the school times, it seems like it's gotten extremely and progressively worse over the recent years. I know Safe Routes to School has a micro grant. I don't know if they applied it this year to where schools could apply for that to get safety measures, but I didn't see one for this year because I know we've gotten it in the past at Dan Maney, so we utilize it to have cones and safety signs put up at Dan Maney, which was effective in our use. Now, I mean, to address Mr. Beleff's situation, it sounds like actual barriers need to be put up on the sidewalks to help prevent actually what's going on over there, because that's extremely a safety issue. I mean, that's definitely disregard for rules in general. And I know I've talked to Chief Ta about those that run red lights and those that run stop signs. That's a complete behavior issue. So signs and everything probably won't change that. I know we've talked about this in the past where potentially there's an increase of using cameras around the city, and that may potentially be a ability to address this, but I think that's something that's in the works, potentially talked about. But I think it's these type of safety measures, especially with our low numbers of enforcement officers, to be able to address this, that I think would something that we need to seriously think about to help mitigate some of these extreme safety issues. Sorry to hear about the bike rodeo trailer getting stolen, because I know we were looking forward to that, and you've done a great job, Dave, of trying to push the using bikes and the bike helmet safeties, not only at Dan Meany, but throughout the whole city. So thank you for your advocacy for that. So I know over at Dan Meany with part of the Measure S, I think it was part of the Measure S funding, where we actually had our new crosswalk in front of our school, and we actually had pedestrian crosswalks that were lit, that have lights on there and that are solar. So now whether that's going to be something that would be applicable and work over at Dan Meany, I think that's something where the traffic engineer, we need to look at that. But I know that was something that was implemented over at Dan Meany. So I know we're at that point where we need to be thinking outside the box, especially for safety issues of this. And I'm sure now that you've brought this to our attention, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to have more robust conversation to be able to address a lot of these safety issues. So thank you for that.
Councilmember Diaz.
I'd like to thank everyone that spoke on this subject. Our safety is extremely important, but when we're talking about our kids, I think it's more important. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just thinking of all the kids at one time at 3 o'clock are getting out of school, and you have these maniacs driving around. Same thing happened to me. Trustee Fox, a person stepped to the left and jumped ahead of 3 cars and passed a red light. So it is a mess out there, but one of the things that I'm really happy to hear is that Glen Cove has funds. So you're not coming here just asking per se, you're bringing partly a solution. So I'm going to ask Mr. Malone if we can reach out to the Glen Cove Association and see how we can partner with them, considering a lot of these items that Mr. Mariscal brought are very, very inexpensive. I mean, we've got, I think the one that costs the most is the LED enhanced stop sign, which is $700, but the others are in the 200s. So with an amount that you have, and whatever we can do on our end, whether it just be provide the installation and you guys pay for the equipment, there's got to be something that we can do. Not doing anything is worse. I know that people don't respect the signs and they don't respect anything at this point, but when you have lights flashing in front of you, they draw attention to you. As far as the sidewalks, I would shy away from putting any kind of barricades on there, because then you've got the folks that are in wheelchairs and strollers and all that kind of stuff. That person just seems like a very irresponsible person that has child endangerment issues. So this isn't just a pat on the hand that he needs. I mean, charges need to be filed. He's endangering his child by running on the sidewalk. So, whatever that means, perhaps making a call to the police department or have somebody from the staff at the school, since they know that he's a regular and his child is there, pulling him aside, having a conversation. Something needs to be done. He's going to hurt somebody at some point. But going back to where we started with Glen Cove, which is the district that I represent, I definitely think that we need to have a conversation. And I thank you guys for bringing the information that you brought forward. It really helps us having the prices and the whatever needs to be put in. So Mr. Malone, do you think that maybe someone can reach out to them and we can talk?
The person who actually needs to do that is sitting back there. So he's heard the whole conversation.
Perfect. Then if you want to look back, that's the person right there in the blue. He will reach out. Thank you.
Oh, Councilperson Atulik?
Yeah, and I would sorry for not bringing this up earlier, but I think for the sidewalk issue, to help with the, any ADA issues, I think bollards or removable bollards might be something that might be practical to use in there. But once again, depends, we have to look at whose scope that would be in, whether that's the city or the school district, but we can work on that. But I think bollards or removable bollards along the sidewalks might help mitigate at least cars driving up and down the sidewalk.
That's terrible. Thank you for the
I
speakers.
wanted to say one.
So, Trustee Fox.
Just real quick, I heard about, the last thing I think is about Glen Cove School dismissal procedures. That's something that we can look and see. All of our schools have something called Parent Square email. And the Parent Square email, the principals they can put out mass emails to the parents to say, what is the procedure at drop-off and pickup? So we can check and see what's going on and maybe what would help with the community that lives right there to talk with, so maybe a meeting with the principal and asking what is the procedure for drop-off and pickup. And when you send these emails, can we maybe, if you don't have a child in school, you don't get the Parent Square email, but maybe she can include you a different way so that we're just all connected that live next to the school, understand what is going on at what times of the day, what happens. Because TK and K have a different dismissal usually than the rest of the school, first through fifth. So anyways, it'll just give a time frame. It'll help to know the procedure, and I think it'd be a better way to bridge the gap. So perhaps a meeting or somehow with the principal to ask and clarify and be included one way or another with these emails for the procedure. Thank you.